Hey, Mr. S. Have you finished your plan for the linear equations unit?
Hi, Miss K. Nope. I'm just going to wing it like always and hope for the best.
Well, do you at least know what your assessment will look like?
Sure don't. I figure it'll be okay to just write it the night before I give it to my students. Then, I'll make the key after I've graded a few of the tests from my strong students.
Oh, dear. Mr. S., we have a lot of work to do before you're ready for this unit. Can you handle it?
What do you mean? I have this testing thing all figured out.
Let's try an analogy. You do remember what that is, right? At lunch, you said you like to skydive. What's the first thing you do when you're planning a jump?
Okay, I'm game. I always decide where I'm going to land. Otherwise, I don't know which airport to fly from.
Okay, good. You begin with the end in mind and use that to decide where to start. What comes after that in your preparation?
Next, I find out if anyone is going with me. It helps to have extra input when I check the weather conditions and make sure all my equipment is in good shape and that the dials are accurate.
Let me see if I understand. You sometimes work with other people to make sure your jump is the best possible experience. Is that the right idea?
Exactamundo. We split up the work and check each other so there are no mistakes to ruin the fun.
Well, what's next? What kind of equipment do you need to skydive?
The most important part is the parachute. Without that... Well, have you ever seen what happens when you drop an egg on the floor?
I get the picture. So the parachute controls how fast you fall downward to your goal and makes sure you will have a soft landing.
Right again. The other thing I always bring is my altimeter. That lets me know how far from the ground I am at any point in time during the jump.
Okay, I'll summarize this one. The altimeter basically tells you how much progress you are making toward your goal of reaching the ground.
Are you sure you've never been skydiving? You are spot on. Now, I have a question for you. Why are we talking about skydiving? I thought you were going to explain why my approach to assessment is no good.
Patience, Mr. S. It's all part of my plan. You see, assessment in your classroom is a lot like skydiving. First, there is a goal. For you, the goal is to land in a specific place and to be in the same shape as when you started. For your students, the goal is to learn something about linear equations. The final test of whether those goals are accomplished is called summative assessment, and it happens at the very end. It is assessment of the goal, and if you messed up along the way, it's too late to change anything in your approach.
Well, I definitely don't want to end up like a scrambled egg, and I don't want that to happen to my students' learning, either. What can I do before the summative assessment to keep my students and I from crashing and burning?
You can start by collaborating. Asking others to check your equipment before you jump is a lot like planning a unit with your colleagues who teach the same subject. Together, you can make sure the weather, or the learning environment, is going to set up your students for success. Checking all the dials is like double-checking your lessons to make sure they send the right signals to your students and help them grasp the key concepts.
Wow. This is beginning to make a lot of sense. You know, sometimes my equipment fails in the middle of the jump. What if that happens in my classroom? How will I know when something doesn't work the way I thought it would? I need a way to measure progress.
I have just the thing. Along the way to the ground, you watch your altimeter to see how far you've fallen and how much farther you have to go before you land. We teachers have a similar tool. It's called formative assessment. It is a way to see what's happening in the middle of learning. You can fix anything that isn't working, and you can see if you are going too quickly or too slowly. If you fall too quickly, the landing will be pretty rocky and might even hurt. If you fall too slowly, you won't have enough time to do other things afterward.
Great Gatsby. I've seen the light. Say, do you like coffee?
Yes. Why do you ask?
I'm going to need a lot of help this weekend in order to have this linear equations unit planned by Monday. Can you help me out?
Of course. By the way, you've just passed your first formative assessment. The learning objective was to about understand the importance of assessment for learning and assessment of learning. The next objective we will tackle is the practical application. Shall we meet at 6 in the Starbucks parking lot?
You bet. Thanks, Miss K.